You know, it is kind of funny. When politicians and the media talk about Russia and Vladimir Putin, they often use the word oligarchy. They talk about how the oligarchs of Russia have enormous power under Putin. But strangely enough, the term oligarchy is very rarely used to describe what's happening in the United States, or in fact, what's happening around the world. But guess what? Oligarchy is a global phenomenon, and it is headquartered right here in the United States. The fact of the matter is, and we don't talk about it very much, but this is the reality, a small number of incredibly wealthy billionaires own and control much of the global economy, period. End of discussion. And increasingly, they own and control our government through a corrupt campaign finance system. Since 2020, 5 billion people all over the world have become poorer, while the world's 5 richest billionaires have more than doubled their fortunes at a rate of $14 million per hour. And listen to this. Elon Musk, the world's wealthiest man, has added $120 billion to his fortune just since election day. Got that? 120 billion since election day. While Jeff Bezos, number 2 guy, he only became $67 billion richer in the last month. And Mark Zuckerberg, he became 90 billion richer this year alone. In other words, the people on top who are already phenomenally rich are becoming incredibly richer. Over the past decade, the wealthiest 1% of the global population amassed $42 trillion in new wealth, while the wealth of the bottom half of society barely budged. In fact, as of today, the top 1% owns more wealth than 95% of the people on this earth. Outrageously, the wealthiest people in the world are stashing up to $32 trillion in offshore tax havens like the Cayman Islands in order to avoid paying their fair share of taxes to governments all over the world. In other words, governments are underfunded, and these people stash trillions in tax havens. Meanwhile, the uber rich do spend money to protect their incredible wealth. They do it by buying influence, and increasingly by buying our elections. Billionaires in the United States are 0.0005% of the population. That ain't a lot of people. Yet they accounted for 18% of 2024 electoral spending. Tiny number of people spending huge amounts of money to buy elections. Just 150 billionaire families spent nearly $2 billion to buy our recent elections. Elon Musk alone spent at least $277 million to back Donald Trump. How's that? One guy, $277 million. And we saw the results of that investment working pretty good for him. The major defense contractors spent over $38 million this election cycle. And you know what? They're going to have $1 trillion military budget with enormous amounts of waste and fraud in it. And AIPAC, a billionaire-funded super PAC, spent over $100 million to defeat members of Congress who are critical of the extremist right-wing Netanyahu government in Israel and the horrific war they are waging in Gaza. My friends, you don't have to be a PhD in political science to understand that this is not democracy. This is not one person, one vote. This is not all of us coming together to decide our future. This is oligarchy. In my view, this issue of oligarchy is the most important issue facing our country and the world because it touches on everything else. It touches on climate change, touches on healthcare, touches on whether or not working people are going to have a decent standard of living, touches on whether or not we can eliminate poverty. And what we are going to be doing now is over the coming months, we are going to be doing a number of programs exploring how global oligarchy functions, the power that the very, very rich have over our economy and over our political life. We're going to be talking about the tax havens they use and how they avoid paying their fair share of taxes. And we will be talking about the kind of role that the oligarchs will play in the coming Trump administration. We're going to bring forth some of the really smartest people in this country and around the world who know about this issue. So it's important stuff, and I hope you will follow along. Take care. Bye-bye.